In today's video, we're unboxing the JP Morgan Reserve card, looking at the features and perks, and whether it's still a good card to chase, or whether you should just call it a day and be happy with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Big favor, give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. Even though someone might benefit, then share this with them. Okay, let's talk about how to get the card. In order to be eligible, you need to be in JP Morgan private banking. In the past, we have done a video looking at all the different levels and the perks. It's more or less still the same. Speed running through it, you have the regular Chase checking accounts with no threshold, Chase Premier Plus checking at 15K, and then Chase Sapphire banking at 75K. Note that this level did get discontinued back in June of this year for new people, so a bit of a legacy level. From there, you have Chase Private Client at 150K, and then a bit confusing, but JP Morgan Private Client at 1 million. So back in 2023, JP Morgan Chase acquired First Republic Bank. I'm gonna miss the free cookies. They pretty much ported those clients over to JP Morgan Private Client. Initially, the minimum was 750K. They recently bumped this up to 1 million. On the top level is JP Morgan Private Bank with 5 million as the target. This one is less of a hard cutoff, and it also depends on market. The intent is assets under management, so for example, ETFs or securities that you have. Even if it is a self-directed brokerage with Chase, that would still count for this. It doesn't need to be dead cash, and it's also not a hard cap. There is wiggle room, so let's say you're the founder who's raised a ton of money for their startup. Or let's say you're the owner of a successful business, especially if you do your business banking with Chase. It doesn't have to be tech either. So I've met a doctor with multiple practices, and that worked for them. Another example being, let's say, a venture capital fund. Let's say Fund 1 did exceptionally well for a 2023 vintage, with maybe 6x TVPI total value to paid in capital and 5x DPI distribution to paid in capital, compared to other top 2023 funds, which might only be at a 1.4x TVPI and effectively 0 DPI. And crazy enough, even compared to funds from almost 10 years ago from 2017. Top funds from that vintage might be at 4.35 TVPI to your 6.23, and then 1.79 DPI to your 5.21. Mind you, that person might be very, very illiquid because they're just reinvesting into other startups or their own companies. Yeah, as you can tell, there are a lot of pathways that make sense for business owners. Even if you're not though, there are still options almost very literally. You also could be an employee with the right stock options. For example, if you joined OpenAI or Anthropic back in 2022, you might be making 8 to 9 figures with their IPO that's going to happen, even if it currently is just paper money. Mind you, San Francisco is a bit of a weird ecosystem, so it might not feel that way even if there are a lot of people that are going to make a lot of money. The main point being that private banking has a persona that they're targeting, but the path to that can be drastically different. So again, in order to be eligible for the JP Morgan Reserve card, you would need to be in private banking with them. The application process is also a bit different. Instead of applying online like you normally would, you would contact your relationship manager. They send you a PDF to sign, so a lot more straightforward. Okay, so there's a lot of steps to get the card. What are the actual benefits? There's a lot of overlap with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. We'll get more into this, but the multipliers are exactly the same. The base credits are the same as well. Same thing with lounge access, and even the annual fees and authorized user fees are the same. I'll go through those later, but let's start with the differences. Broadly, you're looking at 3 things. First one is the hidden trade line. Number 2 is United Club membership. And number 3 is concierge. The trade line isn't a published benefit, but it is one that's commonly mentioned by cardholders. The main draw is that even if you use the card very aggressively for a month, your utilization is generally not reported. That's probably not useful most of the time, but it could be useful if you're, let's say, redecorating for a month and adding a bunch of art. Or let's say you're doing a big trip and paying out of pocket to fly first in business class, especially if you're staying at the Mons of the world, which might run you 4 to 7K for a single night. Let's say you have a 100K limit. If you spend 90,000 this month, that'd be 90% utilization, which would be very negative for your credit score because it's very high utilization. And also it's going to be a high reported balance. Even though Chase might know you and your asset situation, the other banks you have cards with might not, and they're pretty much in the dark, which can raise red flags. The hidden trade line means that you don't get the crazy utilization reported, the caveat being that you're probably only getting 1x. Unless you are booking for those other categories like travel. Obviously, if you miss a payment or you don't pay, then they will report negative information. If anything, I treat this as a buffer for other banks not getting spooked. Your mileage may vary on whether that matters, but I would say that it is a core reason for a lot of people liking the card. Next up is United Club access, where you get access for yourself and 1 guest, and also children under 21. To me at least, this is effectively the same as the United Club card, where it's you plus one adult guest and dependent children, but there it's 18 under. The main difference for a lot of people is pathing to all access. With the United Club card, you can spend $50K or have Premier Gold status or higher. On the other hand, with the JP Morgan Reserve card, your only option is having that higher status. The spend path doesn't exist. The value proposition for all access is having 2 adult guests as an option, but also access to Star Alliance partner lounges. Depending on how you value things, probably worth a few $100 at least. United actually sells another level called Individual, which has no guesting, and they also sell all access. So there you are paying $750 to start for a worse membership, or if you have status, then you're unlocking all access, which would run you $1,100 to $1,400. Also, in order to get this, you do need to contact your concierge team for them to manually add it as a perk. If you're not in a United hub, or you don't fly United or Star Alliance, or you don't care about airport lounges, then arguably zero value. The last benefit we have is the concierge. You can use this to have them book things and buy things on your behalf. This ranges from travel bookings, let's say airline tickets or even pet care, to dining, to events, and also shopping. Mind you that you are still paying. Out of all of these, the best use case, to me at least, is dinner reservations that are hard to get for restaurants where there might not be any availability online. For example, this person locked in a 3 Michelin star restaurant in Paris. I'm actually very curious about Japan and some of the harder, if not impossible, to get into restaurants. For example, for something like Jiro, as a foreigner, your best bet and arguably only bet is top luxury hotels in Tokyo. Even then, I've heard that a lot of hotels only have a certain amount of inventory or spots, meaning that they allocate to more profitable guests, which generally doesn't tend to be people staying on points. Mind you, the restaurant side can be very hit or miss, and it functionally depends on if they have a relationship there. If they do, then it seems like a lot of restaurants will save 10 to 15% of space for either super regulars or VIPs, and the JP Morgan Reserve card would fall into the latter. Travel is an interesting one. For example, if you have a super complicated itinerary, they probably have people on their team that are travel agents who can actually book and price those out. Mind you, I don't think they're transferring points to partners to do award bookings, but more so if you, let's say, priced out a very complicated, unadvertised route with ITA matrix and you need someone to actually book it for you. This does lean towards expert mode, especially if you want to find stuff yourself. Otherwise, it sounds like you can have them try to work their magic. For example, someone priced out something that ended up being $2,000 less per person. But another flight they were trying to do was $10,000 more, so it does depend on inventory and what they have access to. One bonus benefit is lost cards. For example, someone I know with the card basically lost their card twice on a month-long trip. They were able to get their card shipped to them next day expedited for both instances. If you don't care about any of these benefits, then you might already be in a good spot with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. For everything else, all the other features and benefits, it's functionally the same card, so you're not really missing much. If you're curious if the Chase Sapphire Reserve card makes sense for you, I'd recommend playing with your calculator and adjusting for your own numbers. And if you do want to check that out, I'll link to it down below, and it should also pop up if you search CSR worth it AskSebby. On that note, if you want to learn about cards, whether this one or pretty much any other card out there, and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Okay, taking a look at the annual fee, multipliers, and credits, everything's going to look very familiar. The annual fee is $7.95 for both cards and $1.95 for each authorized user. For multipliers, you're looking at 8x on all purchases booked through Chase Travel, including the edit, 4x points on flights and hotels booked directly, 3x on dining worldwide, and then 1x on everything else. You also have the same partner multipliers. For example, for Lyft and also Peloton through the relevant dates and also the eligible products. The credits are the same as well. This includes the annual travel credit, which is still easy to use, and it's anything that codes as travel. Also the edit hotel credit, which does require 2 different bookings, with each being a minimum of 2 nights. Same thing with the limited Chase Travel Hotel one for this year with partners like IHG and Pendry. For the lifestyle credits, you have the same semi-annual credit for Sapphire exclusive tables through OpenTable. I actually like this one, but I also like trying fancy restaurants, and it also keeps Mandy happy. There are ones that I don't really use or value, but are still there, like the Apple TV and Apple Music subscription. Maybe I'm alone here, but I feel like there's a lot of good TV to watch that I haven't gone through yet. For example, I'm currently binging The Bear for the first time, and about to finish season 2. Main idea is that if the perk fits your lifestyle, then great, but you don't have to use every single benefit. Another one that I don't really use is DoorDash and Dash Pass. I know there are some pickup options, but mentally I haven't really cared for it. StubHub though is one I like and actually use, and also pretty easy, whether you're into sports, music, or a bunch of other things in between. Lyft one's fine because I use rideshare anyways, and then Peloton I mostly ignore. Outside of the annual ones, you have the same global entry, or TSA PreCheck, or Nexus fee credit. You also get IHG1 rewards Platinum Elite status. Even the spend-based incentives are the same. For example, if you spend $75,000 in a calendar year, then you unlock additional statuses and credits. This includes World of Hyatt Explorer status and also IHG1 rewards Diamond Elite status. The Hyatt status is a bit of a middling status, but the IHG1's pretty good. This is the top of the rung and normally requires 70 nights per year in order to get. The main draw, for me at least, would be complimentary upgrades where you're on the top of the list, and also breakfast as a welcome amenity choice. Another benefit is the $250 credit for the shops at Chase. Lots of products you can buy, but I'd probably lean towards either Therabody or Apple. You're also getting the $500 Southwest Airlines travel credit and Southwest Airlines A-list status. There are a lot of perks with the status. The main thing that's interesting is preferred seating at booking, boarding group 1, checked bag, and also same-day standby. I don't have Southwest status, but I do have United 1K, and same-day standby is my favorite benefit. We actually used this over the past weekend when we were coming back from Santa Barbara. We initially booked a 2 p.m. flight since it was the cheapest, but there weren't any upgrades since it was pretty much a full flight, so we did the same-day standby to the 4 p.m. one, which had a less heavy load, so that helps with upgrades the same day. And also we wanted to stay later anyways to enjoy and have more time in Santa Barbara, so adding the extra 2 hours meant just more vacation time. Main idea though is that the JP Morgan Reserve card and the Chase Sapphire Reserve are very much the same core card. One that's surprisingly the same is going to be lounge access. For Priority Pass, you get the same card. It's you plus 2 guests, which makes sense. Same thing with Sapphire lounges. And in fact, it's in the same boat with the Chase Sapphire Reserve for business and also the Ritz-Carlton credit card. For these Sapphire lounges, it's you plus 2 guests at no original charge. For Air Canada lounges, it's you plus 1 guest, and the only one that's missing here from Access is the Ritz-Carlton credit card. If you want to add an authorized user for them to have their own lounge access and their own Priority Pass card, then it's $195. Mind you that you don't get the majority of the other credits and benefits, but depends on you there. Insurances, I'm not going to run through since it's a bit more dry and denser, but it's the same thing. Transfer partners and transfer rates are still the same, and I'd argue that that's still the best use of points. Ironically, most people I know with the card are still doing this themselves, as long as they're using other tools like Seats Arrow to search and set up alerts. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that yourself, you can pay for other services that would run you about $500 to $1,000 per booking. It still might make sense compared to paying $10,000 or $20,000 outright for the same flight. Oh, also this does count as a separate financial product, meaning that you can get the Chase Sapphire Reserve intro bonus. You can get both, and that's fine. Overall, I think it is a pretty interesting card given its superpowers. The hidden trade line can be very helpful. Let's say you're doing a renovation or you have a crazy buying opportunity. At the same time, you could also pay down your card ahead of the statement date, so maybe less useful. For the United Club membership, I am in San Francisco, which is a United Fortress hub, so even when I did have Delta Diamond status, there were still some times where I ended up flying United. If anything, I think the concierge is the most interesting feature, especially for hard to get into restaurants. At the same time, you still need to benefit from the core Chase Sapphire Reserve card for it to make sense. In a lot of ways, I feel like it could be doing a little bit more. For example, I wish the card offered a fast pass or maybe even a line skip for the Sapphire lounges like a lot of competitors do with their invite-only cards. To be fair though, I think it is a balancing act, but also should be non-zero, especially if you're by yourself and you're not bringing in a giant group. Yeah, curious what you think would be fair. If you want to run the numbers on the Chase Sapphire Reserve for your situation, search AskSebby Worth It, CSR, and it should pop up. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. And if you're curious, all legal affiliate disclosures can also be found below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a sushi emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the JP Morgan Reserve card? Number 2, what other credits or benefits would you want them to add? And 3, do you think a line skip feature or fast pass would be fair? On one hand, it kind of makes sense. On the other hand, some of the lounges are pretty small, so maybe that's just not fair. Yeah, kind of curious if there's a good middle ground there. Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.